Welcome, everybody, to your October 2025 bonus messages. So this is an update to the ones I released a couple weeks ago. You are very welcome here. There is going to be messages for all 12 signs, but as you know, if you've been with me for a while, I encourage you to listen to all 12 signs as you have all 12 signs in your chart. So the most important thing is to grab your journal and write down anything that resonates, no matter what sign it's on. If you want to know more about why I say that, I do have a free tutorial below called Know Your Signs that teaches you how to pull your own birth chart for free and see where you have signs in your chart. I also did release a new video a couple weeks ago about your spiritual team. If you missed that, because you often hear me talk about that. Now, your spiritual team are your guardian angels, your passed away loved ones, your spirit guides, ascended masters like Jesus, and more. So check that out too if you want to know why you hear me say that. Like I said, I'm going to be diving into all 12 signs here. We're going to go through, and these are meant to be updated bonus messages for you for the month of October, so you can add them to the messages that I released a couple weeks ago if you missed that. So grab it all together. Anything that resonates, write it down. I do always say a prayer protection that I'm only connecting with God's highest vibrational beings. So rest assured that if something doesn't resonate, it's not for you. It's meant for somebody else. But please do write down everything that resonates with you. Now, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. We have people from all over the world. I read every single one of your comments. So thank you so much for the comments you leave, for liking and sharing this video if it resonates. And let's jump into these messages here. As always, at the very end, I will do bonus messages for actions to take. That's what I like to do, is give you something you can do right now at the time you're hearing these messages. So make sure to stay tuned to that at the end. Usually after the live, within another, few hours or even the next day, I try to get thumbnails or chapters put up so you can easily go back and listen to anything that really stood out for you. So pay attention if you do have a message pop out under, Cancer or Sagittarius, and you don't normally listen to those signs, pay attention, because there may be extra meaning for you there. Specifically, it could even be for a loved one or a friend that has a lot of energy in those signs as well. Now, again, I'd love to hear where everybody's tuning in from. So if you are here live, say hi in the chat. And if not, I will definitely be reading your comments later. Hey, April, I see you're there as well. I'm so super excited for these bonus messages for October, because in September, we were getting a lot of guidance around writing things down, even if they don't make sense. And I hope you were able to do that. Or if you didn't do it, it's not too late. If there was anything that got your attention, but you didn't know what it meant, definitely go back and still write that down. Maybe check your calendar or the photos on your phone to see what was going on for you. Because here in this month, we are beginning to get even more information. And one of the big messages coming through in September was that in October, we were going to start getting messages in a new way. So maybe you're somebody who usually gets messages through having a feeling about something, and now you're getting messages in your dreams, or you're getting messages through synchronicities. So there's all kinds of ways that we can do that. Also, a really fun announcement next week, right here on this channel, same time, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central, October 15th, Chris Reck from Minopon Tarot will be back. My good friend. He's such an amazing intuitive. Also, my YouTube teacher. He teaches all kinds of amazing things. And we have so much fun comparing notes on the energy we're getting. Last month, he was on my channel. We talked about the next 3 months. Well, next week, we're going to talk about this time next year. So we're going to be talking about around October, November 2026 next week. So if you want a glimpse on that, check it out. The first time he was on my channel was almost a year ago in October, and we did that same topic where we were talking about this month right here. So we thought that'd be a fun anniversary celebration of collaborating here together. So we will be doing that for sure. And I see Kay is here in the chat as well from Ireland. Hello, Kay. Hello, Elise. Sorry, I didn't read that properly. Great to see you here. We are feeling this energy intensely. We had that powerful full moon this past Monday evening, or for some of you across the world, it might have been Tuesday morning. Very, very powerful, still feeling those effects. Okay. So if you're wondering why everybody is still on edge, there are a lot of energies putting a lot of pressure on us right now. Also, if you're somebody who pays attention to different things going on with the sun, We have had some different energies coming off the sun that are reaching us now or within the next probably 24 to 48 hours at the time I'm recording these messages. So we feel those as well. Sometimes they make you very tired. Sometimes they make you full of energy. Also, I have a good friend that follows the Schumann resonance closely. The Schumann resonance has been off the chart lately. So that's a really interesting thing to look into too. And I bring this up because I want you to know that you're not the only one feeling these energies this way, but by going through all 12 signs, hopefully you'll get a little more clarity on where exactly this is affecting you, okay? And remembering that people around you are probably not realizing that the energy is affecting us, so it does kind of fall on you to keep the vibration high, to try to stay in divine flow. In fact, why don't we go ahead and start off with a pocket affirmation? If you want to write this in the comment section below, my all-time favorite, I am in divine flow. If you want to write that down below, I am in divine flow, to help you just stay in that energy as we go through these messages. And of course, as always, I will try to come up with other pocket affirmations as needed. That's why it's important to listen to all 12 signs. And I did in the October monthly, I did bring back keywords for all 12 signs. I used to do that in the past. And for whatever reason, my spiritual team was like, you remember how you used to do that? It's needed again. So you can check that out on my Instagram. I have it posted for all 12 signs, your keyword for the month of October to help you focus. I know some people like to focus on one single word during a meditation to help them clear things. So let's jump into these messages here. I'm so great to see all of you. I'm going to be using my overhead camera again today. I had kind of stopped doing that for a while because I had some things in the way and I had to rearrange some things. But yes, Elisa's in Cape Cod. Beautiful. I got to go there when I was younger and I want to go back. I love it there. All right, so we're going to start off with the Aries here. Let me pop up their sign. And we will get to all 12 signs here. And then, of course, the bonus messages so that you can bring it all together. I did not light my candle. I have a lot of people in my house today doing some construction work. And so it's been a little bit interesting to get ready for the show. So if you hear, I've got my headphones in, but if you hear anything in the background, that could be what you're hearing. Hello, Aries. Let's see what we have for you for your bonus messages for October 2025. If you guys want to put the timestamp in the comments below, that is a huge help. You don't have to at all. I will definitely try to do that as soon as I can so you can easily come back and listen to these messages. So the first message I have for Aries is the Two of Earth card. Too much going on at once, the need to make a decision, consider a more playful approach. Yes, Aries, you have had a lot going on. You had that full moon in your sign, and I know that you tend to want to just charge ahead and get things done. But one of the big messages that has come through for you guys a lot lately is that it's okay to wait on your team members to come with you. In fact, it's encouraged. Now, that may mean that you need to do a little bit of allowing others to do things you would normally do. And this is going to be what allows you to have more time to play and have fun. Let's see what else is coming up for you here. You have the King of Air card, knowledgeable, objective, and respected. Yes, this is a card of being willing to master your communication, especially when it comes to your team members. And, it may mean that maybe you've been a little frustrated with some of the people on your team, but again, it could be a communication issue here. And just a little heads up, we do have Mercury retrograde almost the entire month of November. So now is the time to make sure you are very clear with your communication, dotting I's, crossing T's. In fact, anything that you think you might need to write down, go ahead and write it down. I know it is so easy sometimes to say, no, that person understood me. Go ahead, if your intuition is telling you, do a follow-up email and say, hey, I'm just going to put in bullet points below the things we discussed to make sure we're on the same page. That is coming really clearly through. So there's some kind of project, some kind of trip you're planning, some kind of thing you're trying to move ahead. And the best thing you can do is get it all down on paper and make sure the other parties around you understand. And especially if it's people that you are working with on a regular basis. This could even be family members. Maybe you're making plans for the holidays and you're just trying to get that going. Let's see what your third card is here. I'm using this awesome unicorn deck that I don't always get to use. Brothers and sisters. Well, I was just talking about holiday plans to get along with others, see the love and the best within them. Right? It's always a good idea to look for the good in others. It can be kind of frustrating. I feel like with the way this is coming along with this King of Air, it could be that maybe you are, not on the same page with some of your family members, but it may not be family. It could be colleagues. It could be somebody you view as family. It could also be brothers and sisters within a cause, right? Like maybe you're part of some group or community and people within the community who you see as brothers and sisters because you have a very similar mission. You're not necessarily you're not necessarily on the same page. And this would make sense for a lot of us given the division we have seen out there on the wide world stage. But one of the big things I addressed in the October messages, and I'm going to remind you guys here, is how important it is to go higher with our thoughts, with the things we're focusing on. Try not to let the division be a distraction for you. Do things that help you feel lighter, and that's going to be really important. So again, like I said here, you need to try to take a more playful approach to something you're trying to do. Also, make sure you're really being clear with your communication. And if it does involve any kind of family member or somebody who's close to you, don't assume they know where you're coming from. That's the big message I'm getting through here is, you're better off repeating yourself and having somebody roll your eyes and go, yeah, I heard you, I get it, than losing sleep at night because you're not sure if they understood you. It's the age-old measure twice, cut once. That's a much better way to do it. Maybe you're measuring, multiple times and you're just getting really clear. So I'm getting for a lot of you, now is the time to make sure everybody on your team, everybody you're working with is clear on what your goals are, making sure you're on the same page, especially if it is having to do with some kind of travel or some kind of plans coming up in the future, because like I said, in the month of November, things are going to be kind of foggy with Mercury retrograde. So better to get it out there now, take that higher approach, and then deal with it as you go. Like, these are the things, oh, well, I thought you said we were going to go out of town this week, not that week. And, try to make sure you've got everything clear there. So I think that's really good guidance for all of us, given that we have that retrograde coming in, but definitely for the Aries, because I know you'd rather just go ahead and handle it yourself or just get it done. This would be a really good time to have those conversations. All right. That was coming through really clearly there for some people, that it's just, it's always a good idea to double check. I have a joke with my husband when we get in the car to go to the airport. I'm like, I'm going to ask you, do you have your wallet, sunglasses, phone charger? Like, I'm going to ask you because it's reminding me too. I mean, I'm sure you do, but he's always like, of course I check those things. And I'm like, I'd rather ask and kind of annoy you by doing it than us get there and one of us not have it. Right. So that's the kind of thing that we have to keep in mind too. All right. Moving on to Tauruses. Taurus, what bonus messages do we have for you guys? I love seeing other people here in the chat here. Thank you, Chelsea, for writing that in the chat. I am in divine flow. Tauruses, your bonus messages for October start with Queen of Fire. Ooh, I love this energy for you. It says, confident, warm, intelligent, stretch your wings and fly. Do not underestimate yourself. Yes, coming through very clearly there. You can do this, Taurus. You can do this. What was the first thing that came to mind where you've been feeling a little bit of self-doubt, or maybe you're not ready? Please don't underestimate yourself. You've got so much positive energy coming in. Ooh, we've got the Two of Earth card too. Earth, your sign. Balance, prioritization, and playfulness. Yes, I want you to make sure you're bringing a lot of balance into the things you're trying to do. I feel like a lot of you have taken on a new project, goal, something that you're doing that's really bringing in a lot of responsibilities, and you're having to balance a lot of different things. And that's okay. This is actually a card that normally is kind of asking you to just be very focused on where you're putting your energy. Whereas for this particular message, what I'm getting for Taurus is you have things that are demanding your attention right now. There's a timeline, there's other things going on. It's a lot of moving parts. So just make sure that you are balancing all those three areas of your life, your health and fitness, your work and career, or if you're retired, legacy, and then of course your home and family, your romantic relationships. Make sure you're bringing balance in there. And try to add playfulness to all these things, right? If you've got a big project you have to work on, is there a really fun playlist you can create to listen to while you're doing it? Or if you're having to, do a lot of driving around town to handle different errands, can you put on a bunch of favorite podcasts while you're doing it, or invite a friend to go with you and stop at a favorite lunch place? There's a lot of things you can do, and just make sure you're bringing that playfulness in. The third card that I'm getting for you guys is the best friends card. What did I just say about bringing a friend with you? True friends stick together no matter what. Aw, isn't that sweet? Yeah, I think maybe this could be a time to bring in a friend to help you with something, that playful energy. Do you have anybody who'd be willing to ride shotgun with you while you're going on a little trip, or maybe just get on the phone with you? I've had that happen too, where sometimes you just need somebody to visit with you while you're doing something that's kind of mundane. Maybe you're, getting a bunch of chores done around the house, and you can sit there and have a chat. I had a wonderful chat with a good friend of mine a couple days ago, and because of my schedule, I just had to go ahead and take my walk while I was chatting with her. But, I got two things done at once, and actually got some pretty cool downloads at the same time. So definitely keep going with this fiery energy you have here. And whatever this big thing is that you're doing, make sure you show that you have confidence in yourself, because you are ready for this big, new, exciting thing. And, like I said, a lot of times I'll see this card as needing to get off the fence, needing to go ahead and focus on something and prioritize. But I do feel specifically for Tauruses in October as a bonus, it's really, you have invested in something. Maybe you've made a new purchase. Maybe you're trying something new, taking a new course or something, and it's going to take time and energy. You've already gotten off the fence, but make sure you're taking that playful approach. Maybe make sure you're not, over worrying about things. Yesterday, I had my community live. For those of you who are community members here, in case you missed it, definitely go check it out. It was every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, we have a community member live. And the Tauruses were getting a lot of messages around not letting themselves over worry, creating issues that are not there because they're staying up at night worrying about it. So try to take that more playful approach. And by the way, I do have some updates coming to my community, so stay tuned. If you're not already signed up for my free newsletter at devindoer.com, you can get my gift for you, my ebook, Is It a Sign? And then stay up to date on new events and things that I have coming for my community. And of course, anytime I have a new video, like the really fun live I'm going to be doing with Chris Reck next week, there'll be more about that. All right, Tauruses, I want to know what you're investing in. This is exciting. I'm happy for you guys. All right, we're going to move on to the Geminis. I'm glad, April. Good to see that. Geminis, your bonus messages for October. We have 5 of water. I'm like holding it up to the upside down camera, but I don't have a switch there. That's so funny. 5 of water. Things not turning out the way you'd hoped, not seeing the positive of a situation, crying over spilled milk. We're going to get some clarification on here. But yeah, there's something that you've been, really looking forward to moving forward with. And you probably just recently received some outcome with this. I feel like, around this full moon, or maybe leading up to the full moon, you received some information that wasn't quite what you were hoping for. So let's get some clarity here. Your second card is there we go. 3 of Earth. It says talent, recognition, collaboration. Okay, so there was something that you were hoping to bring into your life that created a third party. What I'm seeing for some Geminis, maybe you were, trying to extend your family. Maybe you were looking to have a child or adopt. Maybe you are hoping to start a project with somebody else, or there's something about bringing somebody else into the picture and it's not quite going the way you had thought so far. Well, we're going to get some clarity on this, but the main message coming through here is that you have to understand that everything has to line up in the right timing, and there's still some things that have to happen first before this party of 3 or more can come together. Again, I'm seeing resources here, so it could just be Maybe there's something you could go focus on while you're waiting for this to come to fruition. It feels a little bit like, you know how they say, I've used this before in here because I always laugh about this saying because it doesn't really make sense. You know the saying, a watched pot never boils? Well, obviously it does. I mean, I've proven it. I can sit there and watch a boiling pot of water and eventually it does boil, right? But the idea is it feels like it's forever. It feels like it's never going to boil because you're sitting there watching it, right? So there's got to be a better saying for that. Let me know if you guys have a better saying for that. But that's what I feel like is going on with Geminis. I feel like you're so focused on something that it feels like it's taking forever to come together. So is there something creative you can go do, something you could spend time doing that takes your mind off of it a little bit? It's not that you're not still working towards it. It's that you're allowing yourself that time to go do something else so that you're not pushing the energy away. It's one of the things that I hear a lot of astrologers talk about, how Jupiter is the planet of good luck. And it can be, but it's also the planet of expansion. And what you focus on expands. But if you are, what you're actually focusing on is, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? You could, in a sense, almost be pushing the timeline. Now, I'm not saying that any of you are doing that, but it could be a good idea to go focus on something else temporarily to get your mind off of it. What I'm actually hearing is some of you might want to just go take an online course or go start studying something new, learn a new skill, something that you really get excited to do that kind of takes your mind off the pressure around, when is this thing going to happen for me? Okay. Hello, Jody. Good to see you there. And then your third card, Geminis, we have here is the exercise card. It says run, walk, swim, or otherwise move your body. This will give you more energy and happiness. Yeah, see, again, it's getting out of your own head here. Exercise is a great way to get out of your mind. Geminis, you're so intelligent, you're so intuitive, you can see both sides. I was talking about this too the other day. I can't remember if it was yesterday during the community member live or last week, but a lot of times you'll hear in the spiritual world that distractions are a negative thing. And yes, if you're distracting yourself from your purpose and you're not acknowledging it, that can hold you back, right? But one of the energies I've been getting lately is that distractions can be beneficial right now because there is so much going on that can be upsetting. Maybe it's not even as bad as you might think. And really and truly, Geminis, I feel like you're sitting there weighing both sides of things, wondering when something's going to happen. So possibly that distraction is the very thing you need to get out of your head or get out of that place of worry, right? Because that's what we're showing here is we have this, things not turning out the way you want, but then also needing to focus on some of your skills. All right, moving on to let's see. Oh, I got to switch over here so I can see. But I like that for the Geminis. I would like to know if there's anything you could do. Oh, April says Chris Reck calls the good distractions spiritual flat tires, things that move you off course for a purpose. I love that. I have heard Chris Reck say that. Thank you for reminding me of that, April. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, sometimes things happen that get in the way, and it's ultimately so that you can get out of your own way, right? I love that. All right, moving on to Jody says, your friendly Iowa wedding venue is here from the Heartland. Beautiful. I want to go to Iowa. I have heard so many amazing things. That's on my list of places to visit. So I'm sure your place is lovely. All right, we're moving on to the Cancers here. Cancer, your bonus messages for October 2025. We have 5 of Earth. It says, focus, fears surrounding money, the wisdom to accept help from others, uncertain self-employment. So this is a card of not getting overly focused on what's in front of you and trying to go higher with your vision, which it can be hard to do, right? When you know that you don't have something that you need to move forward, it can be hard to get out of that state of mind, to get out of that feeling, but do something to just like I asked the Geminis to do something to get yourself out of that state of mind of being worried about finances or worried about having enough time or enough resources for things. So we're going to get some clarity here, but the solution with this card is always to go higher with your thoughts, higher with the things you're doing. Put yourself in environments where you can feel free and feel fluid. And Cancers need that, right? You need to feel fluid. So let's move on to your next card here so we can get some more clarity. Your second card, Cancers, is the King of Earth card. Again, another Earth card, prosperous, generous, and successful. So essentially, they're just giving you the solution right here. If you need to, go speak with a financial advisor. Go talk to somebody who's done this project before you to get advice. Maybe somebody in your family or somebody older who's done this before can give you some advice on where to invest your resources. But I can see here that what is ultimately going on is you might be feeling stuck right now, but you need to start thinking like the King of Earth and saying, I have enough right now. Now I'm going to do the things I have to do to bring in more security, because the King of Earth is very intelligent with their energy, and they're very careful about where they invest their time and money, where they invest their energy, and they do actually watch their resources carefully as well. They don't watch them like they're hovering over them, worrying about them going away. They watch them as though they manage them. So I want you to think about that management lifestyle of things, and how can you manage your time, your energy, your resources differently this month so that you can move away from that fear over having enough time. And I always like to remind you with these cards, it's not just about money. Money is energy, but time is money, and things we put our focus on is energy, right? So you do want to think about the things that might be pulling you away from a better way of feeling secure, right? So take a look at your bills. Is there anything you can cut back on? Is there something you can go ahead and invest in that will be saving for the future? Now let's pull your third card here to bring some clarification in. And as always, I will of course bring in the bonus messages at the end for actions to take. It says you are gifted. You are very intelligent and talented. Yes, you are, Cancers. And here, what's coming to mind where you feel gifted? When you hear you are talented and gifted, there's something that just crossed your mind that you are. There's something you already do, but maybe you haven't really been sharing it with the world. And maybe that's why you need to rise up out of this 5 of Earth energy. And this is going to bring in this King of Earth energy, because you're sharing your gifts with the world, right? The card after the 5 of Earth is the 6 of Earth, right? Which is activating, giving, and receiving cycles. So maybe you're offering a talent for free in exchange for some other kind of service. And this is going to lead to some kind of job opportunity or some type of collaboration. And, just remembering that you can attract the people who are going to love your talents. And I feel like for a lot of you, you just haven't really put yourself out there enough for people to see these talents. And so a big message around for Cancers, or wherever you have Cancer in your sign, is to see where you can do a better job sharing your talents and resources, talents and gifts, so that you can expand your resources. And for some of you, this may mean needing to collaborate, needing to change where you're focusing. But I want you to just please write down in your journal, what was the first thing that came to mind when I said you're talented? Because there's something, it might have been something from when you were a kid and you're like, yeah, I used to be really good at that, but I don't do that anymore. Well, maybe you could go back to doing it again, or you could find something else that gives you that same feeling, and you'll find you're very talented and gifted with that as well. But I feel like there is something that you're needing to give yourself credit for, because the world is waiting to give you credit for it as well. All right, that's great there. Moving on to the next sign here. Oh, hey, AC, good to see you there. She says, I felt those Cancer messages. I have second house Cancer and want to be better with resources, giving and receiving. Yeah. Wow. See, that's a perfect example there, AC. I love that. Thank you for that example. That's a perfect example of why I really encourage you to listen to all 12 signs. Now, AC, I know you're an astrologer, so you already pay attention to that. But a lot of people out there don't realize you are affected by all 12 signs. And of course, the second house is your finances, your self-worth. And we were talking about self-worth here for the Cancers, right? So that's why I encourage you to check out that free tutorial below if you haven't already. About know your signs, and you can download a free PDF that shows you where you have those signs in your chart once you apply them and what those houses mean. So just like you said, you can say, oh, well, I have Cancer in my second house of self-worth and finances. Well, no wonder I need to get out of that place of worry and I need to really own my resources. So yeah, always bringing so much to the lives. Thank you, AC. I appreciate that. All right, next we have Leos. Okay, Leos, what do we have for your bonus angel messages and spiritual team messages, all of the above, for October? We have your balance card here. It says the need to balance the need for balance and moderation, cooperation and compromise, wait for the right timing. Yeah, Leos, you've been making some big strides. You've been making some big changes in your life. You've been finally moving forward with something that you maybe in the past have tried before and it didn't quite go the way you wanted. And now you can see like, oh, this is going to work this time. Just make sure you're not overdoing it, because this is where other parts of our life can get out of balance. You could be so focused on work or so focused on something you're doing with your home that you neglect your health, or you neglect family members that are relying on you. And then this comes back to be something that's an issue further down the road. So just make sure you're maintaining that balance, because I can feel a lot of forward momentum for Leos, but just don't let it get out of hand where, something else then comes back and gets in your way. So let's keep going, because we're going to get some more clarification here. Oh, whoops. All right. So the second card we have for Leos here is Page of Fire, creative, enthusiastic, and motivated. Yep. This is just clarifying that, there's something new you're doing, something you're really excited about. Some of you may be starting new partnerships, new collaborations. You may be in a new home. You may just be doing new things and you're really excited about it. Just make sure you're not overgiving. You're so loving, you're so creative, and also you're ready to be able to share these things, but we want to make sure there's balance and moderation so we're not pushing that energy away. In fact, if you missed it, I encourage you to go listen to the Gemini messages about making sure we're not pushing the energy away because we're so focused on it, because this is a new exciting thing. And it's when something new comes in, a new idea, a new partnership, a new anything, it can be really easy to just only do that one thing or only think about that one thing. But we want to have balance in those three areas of our life that I always talk about: your health and fitness, your career and finance. If you're retired, that's going to be your legacy. And then, of course, your partnerships, not just romantic. This could be parents, children, friends, colleagues, bosses. So keep an eye on all these things, because as we move forward with this energy, you'll be really set up for success with this new thing if you've maintained the balance in that area. Hey, Don, good to see you. Your third card here for October bonus messages, Leo, is believe in yourself. See yourself doing well, and you will. Yeah, and this is something that is beautiful for the Leos. We can all use this, but I definitely a lot of times see Leos doubt how beautiful they are, doubt the way that their light shines. And, it sometimes can come through in that way, but others see it. So you shine your light so bright. If you can really, really believe in what you're doing and believe that you deserve love, you deserve recognition, you deserve to be on that stage, you deserve the things you're getting, then it just makes everything flow so much more. So that's kind of where I feel like this balance card is also showing up for you guys, is just make sure that while you're busy out there doing things for others or showing your talent to others, you're also really nurturing yourself. So I feel like it's almost like at the end of the day, you need to tell yourself you did a good job, right? And whenever you have to do something where you maybe have to spend time or money on something, I want you to say, I deserve this, right? And so let's just do another pocket affirmation for all 12 signs. I am loved. And we're going to say, like, you're already loved. It's not lovable. It's not, I'm going to be lovable. You're already loved. I am loved. If you want to write that in the comment section below. All right. Thank you so much for the likes and shares. It really helps my channel grow. I really appreciate it. All right. We're moving on to the next sign here. The lovely Virgos. Okay, Virgos, what are we getting for your bonus October messages? First, we have the 10 of Air card. Now, this is very appropriate given the eclipse season we just went to. I feel like the Virgos, out of most of the signs that I know, especially those in my life, hey, Margie, you guys really felt these eclipses, right? And the 2 new moons we had in your sign, one at 0, one at 29. Well, this 10 of Air card is saying you're past the hardest part. It says the end of a difficult situation. It says embrace the change and expect things to get better. Recovering from an addiction. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily an actual addiction, but recovering from something that was really taking your time and energy away from you. You are in recovery mode. You have been through the hardest part of this. You are now on the downside of the hill. What's going to be really careful here is for you to focus on is where are you headed, right? Okay. This is behind you. Make sure you're focusing on where are you going next. Let's get some more clarity for the Virgos here. Ooh, look at this. This is where you're going next. Oh, so good. I just got angel bumps all down my back. 10 of water, family, love, blessings. This is where you're heading. 2 10s. You're heading away from things that were stressful, heading away from health issues, heading away from past family trauma and drama and things that have been going on. And you're headed into this place of security and love. And this is what you want to focus on, the blessings in front of you right now. And, you know, Virgos, you're always doing everything for everyone else, but I do want you to spend a little extra time with your nurturing. And my grandmother would always talk about counting your blessings. And that's what this card recommends. Make sure you're looking up and counting those blessings. And that's been a big thing that I've been saying to everybody is look up. We need to look up a lot more. If you can, get outside when the sun's down and look at the stars. If you're following any of the big news in the sky, there are apparently some comments that are going to be visible to the naked eye for a while now. So check those out. I think one is called Swan. Is it R2 Swan? Don't quote me on that, but one of them's Swan, one of them's Lemon. And you look up, like be in the awe of these things that are happening in the sky and count those blessings. And we all need to do that. I'm not just saying this for Virgos, but these are ways to get our mind off of the past and really focus on that. In fact, I feel like you're going to be getting a lot of messages just by spending more time contemplating the sky, contemplating your environment and where you're headed. Let's get a little clarification here from the unicorn card that I love so much with, that was upside down. Simplicity. Look at that. Put your energy into the basics and let go of excess. All right. Well, you know what I'm really getting for Virgos here? This is about just going back to the basics with something that's been a challenge for you. You know, again, just like with all signs, I encourage you to think about your health and fitness. Think about your career, your finances, maybe your legacy if you're retired, or even if you're not retired, what do you want to do when you're retired? What do you want to leave behind? And then, of course, your relationships, going back to the basics in your relationships. I do feel like for some of you, there have been some things going on with family that have been quite upsetting. Maybe getting back to the basics in the way you communicate and the way you interact with those people can be really happy, or just going back to the basics about the things that help you feel secure in your home and family are going to be really positive here. So I really like this for the Virgos as far as remembering that keeping it simple is going to be important. In fact, this is my favorite saying I like to say for my grandmother. My grandma would say KISS, keep it simple, sweetie, right? A lot of people say a different word for the second S there, but she would say, keep it simple, sweetie. Easier said than done, right, Virgos? But you can do it. This is here for you guys to do. Margie's talking about, an illness coming back, and he's a Virgo. Okay, well, sending him love, Margie. And yeah, exactly. I know a lot of Virgos who face some kind of physical ailment. And, you know, a lot of times these are things that are rooted in some kind of emotional wound that then manifested into a physical wound. So these eclipses were bringing a lot of healing in for that and bringing things to the surface. So I do wish you all so much love with helping you release those things. And again, I really like this card for all of us, but especially the Virgos, when it's keeping it simple. Go back to the basics. All right, Virgos. I hope your husband feels better soon, Margie. All right, moving on to the Libras. Happy birthday, Libras. All right, Libras, for your October bonuses messages, you have the Emperor card here. Look at this: organization and logic, structure and discipline, and leadership. You are so great at seeing both sides of things. You're a wonderful leader to have around. You're a wonderful person to bounce ideas off. You are somebody that a lot of people will do that. But then also, I feel like a lot of Libras will sometimes get too emotionally invested in others when they come to them for their leadership. And when those people aren't following through on a lot of the great insights Libras have given, it can knock you off balance. It can not make you feel like you're not being seen for the Emperor you are, right? So let's get some clarification here. But what's the first thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about those who come around you and come to you for advice or for feedback on something, and then you feel like they're taking all this time and energy from you, but they're not taking any of the advice? How can you shield yourself from that? All right, so the second card we're getting here is the Nine of Air. Yep. Negativity, worry, and sleeplessness. Yeah, I do feel like there's something that's just been keeping you up at night. Maybe there is somebody that you're working with and they're not listening to you, and so you're worried about the outcome. Maybe you are worrying for someone else. That's another saying you hear: don't make other people's problems bigger than your own. And that's a hard one for us to do. All of you here are light workers. You all have huge hearts. You don't have to call yourself that, but you're here for a reason. It's because you know that there is divine help available, and you share your light with the world, which then causes us sometimes to take on other people's burdens. And this is what we don't want to do. We don't want to be worrying about something more than somebody else's. I know for me, back when I had my small business consulting service, I did people's books for them. I helped them figure out what they could get loans for. I did so many things that were very personal, and I would give them guidance around protecting their future financially. And a lot of times they would do things that I felt were really risky, and I would worry about them having financial security down the road. And I had to separate myself from that. I had to realize, okay, you know what? You can offer them the advice, you can make a budget for them, but it's up to them to follow it. If they're not going to lose any sleep over whether they're following the budget or not, why should I lose sleep over it, right? But it's okay to have that loving energy. It's just, I want you to think about that. I feel like some of you are having to grapple with, how much do I say? How much do I invest in something? Because I'm sitting here saying, here's the logical way to do this, and I'm not being heard. So let's get some clarification here. The Unicorn card here. Imagine. Ooh, beautiful. What would you see, feel, think, and hear if your wishes came true? Oh, yeah. Janie, hi. Good to see you there. So we were just saying, talking about taking on other people's burdens when they're not that worried about it. I want you to imagine the ideal outcome, right? What is the ideal outcome that allows you to release any stresses, release any worries over something from the past or some kind of conversation? I want you to imagine everything working out in everybody's highest interest. Focus on that over anything that somebody else is bringing to you as a problem. So I'll just give you a really good example. Maybe you're we were using this example earlier, making plans with the family for holidays, right? This is about around the time of year that people start to say, well, who's coming to whose house for these holidays, right? And maybe there's always an issue. Like there's always that one family member that brings up politics and gets everybody upset, or there's always that person who doesn't pitch in or whatever. I want you to start focusing on imagining the ideal outcome of that instead of worrying about it, or even just asking yourself, like, what can I do to protect my energy in that situation? We have this joke with my family when we have like family vacations together and we're not used to all being on top of each other in one rental house. I'm talking about like extended family, right? We have this joke about, what are you going to do if this annoys you? And we say, take a walk. And what are you going to do if this person says that thing that always, gets your feathers ruffled? I'm going to take a walk. So, I feel like having things in place that are going to really help you imagine the ideal outcome, and then be prepared to take a walk with some of these things and just let the air clear. And that's what I'm getting, is just make sure you're getting a lot of fresh air in whatever situation this is. You know what this is. This could be a family relationship. It could be something with a work colleague. It could be something with a friend who's just always bringing up the negativity. Let yourself have that time to breathe. Let yourself to get away and imagine that ideal outcome. I think that's going to really help. And we are going to be having a really powerful new moon later this month. So perfect timing with these bonus October messages. Start thinking about the things that you want to plant seeds for when we get to the new moon. We just came off that full moon at the time I'm recording these messages on October 8th. So I would focus more on releasing worries right now, releasing things that are holding you back. And then that way you're set up for putting energy and time into something new when we get to that new moon. All right. So that was the Libras there. Moving on to the Scorpios. Hey, Scorpios, we're about to be at your birthday season, so happy early birthday. I hope you're going to celebrate all season long. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you there from the Midwest. Great to see you. Oh, I'm so glad, Janie. I'm glad that's helping. All right, so Scorpios, your bonus messages for October, starting with the release card. I was just talking about that full moon we just had 2 days ago. Wait, was that 2 days ago? Today's Wednesday, yeah. So Monday, some of you it was Tuesday. Archangel Azrael, the end of a phase or situation, spiritual transformation, and time to move on. Yeah, there is something coming to an end for you guys. And this is nothing new. This is not a surprise. But I feel like some of you have really resisted it being the end. Now, remember, with those of you who have a sun sign in Scorpio, well, actually, it doesn't really matter. It's if you could be rising, but the sun is in your 12th house, right? So that brings up things from your past. It brings up deep, deep emotional wounds. It brings up old cycles and old habits that need healing. And there is something here that really needs to be released. For some of you, this is actually, I'm literally hearing you need to let go of an ex. For most of you, it feels like an ex-romantic partner, but a lot of you, it could be an ex-boss. It could be an ex-best friend, something like that. You know who this is for you, but there is a lot of releasing that needs to happen. For some Scorpios, what you need to release is the way a relationship looks. Like you've been really trying to be there for someone or some group of people, and they're not getting it. They're not getting on board. They're not showing up in the way you are. This is what needs to be released. The need to control the outcome, the need to have a relationship look the way it is. I'm actually hearing the phrase, it is what it is, which I know a lot of people don't like that phrase, but I feel like in this situation, you are going to be a lot better off owning what the current status of a situation is than trying to change it into something it can't be. And it's always that unrequited love thing. If you're putting all this time, focus, and energy into a friendship, a love relationship, a job, and you are not seeing anything come back in return, this is the thing that needs to be addressed. Let's bring in the second card, though, so we can get some more clarity here. Second card is the Six of Fire, success, recognition, and self-esteem. Yeah, this is where you need to go. You need to go into those relationships, those collaborations, those jobs, those environments where you get the recognition you deserve. And this is a message I've been getting so many times for Scorpios this year. So I'm going to repeat myself. A lot of you Scorpios that are always here with me, thank you. I love you. So you've heard this before, but Scorpios often are the ones to see the solution to something, or they're able to see what the problem is that needs to be solved way before anybody else does. And I love reminding you guys of this. It's like you see the problem and you're like, let's go fix it. And not everybody else sees it. They're just like, wait, I don't understand what you're saying, or why would that be an issue? Like, they don't get on board with you the way that you're like, if you would just do this, we could just be done. We could be done with this meeting. We could be done with this issue. You know what I mean? And so give yourself credit for being able to see that, but also start focusing on where you could be. Put yourself in environments where people do get on board faster and they see you as that authority and they go, you know what, we're going to ask Scorpio, because Scorpio knows the last 10 times Scorpio was right. Let's go ask Scorpio. So if you're getting the feeling that you need to start looking for a new job, or you're getting the feeling that maybe a relationship you're in is not quite going anywhere, you want to be looking for those things where you get that recognition, if that makes sense. So let's bring in your third card to clear this up. And there we go. We have the practice card. Okay. Let me get this to focus. Focus for me. Thank you. The best way to be good at a skill is to practice, practice, practice until you get it right. While you're waiting for the right opportunity to be recognized, keep going with the things that you love. Keep practicing. Keep doing the things that are really the things you want to be doing. The right opportunity, the right relationship, the right collaboration, the right job will come along. Okay, Scorpios, that's basically what I'm getting is I feel like maybe there's some kind of timeline also you're needing to release. Like maybe you had said, by the end of this year, I'm going to be making this much money. I'm going to be living here and I'm going to have this job. And that's all great to have goals and all those things, but maybe some things needed to line up behind the scenes first. So keep practicing the things that are going to get you to that place. But also you may have to release when it happens, right? Keep going for it. I just want to, this is just like coming through so strong though for Scorpios. Please put yourself in places where you're being recognized for how valuable you are, for how lovable you are, for how loving you are. You give so much love. So that's going to be really good for the Scorpios, and you have the right to ask for that. All right. So I hope for your birthday, you are making those birthday wishes that are for you. All right. You'll have to let me know what you're doing for your birthday. Don't tell me your wishes, but got to keep that secret. I don't even know if I believe that. I believe that sometimes it's good to actually say your wish out loud, but you'll know what's best for you. All right, let's move on to these Sages here. Sorry. As always, I'm trying to switch the sign. Moving on to the Sages. All right, Sages. There we go. Took me a minute there. Sagittarius, what do we have for your bonus October messages? First message we have for you is the Four of Fire. Gotta love that fire for the Sages, right? I love this. It says contentment, peace, and abundance, a happy home life, the successful completion of a project. Yes. You guys have been making such big changes. You've been really going for your dreams, or you've been moving in the direction of things. But one of the things that I'm seeing for a lot of Sages, especially in October, is kind of finally having that sigh of relief that everything that you've been wanting to bring in, or the things you've been wanting to release, they're finally released, or you're finally there. You're finally in that happy home life. You finally have the job you want. You finally finished up something that you just wanted to finish it up. It's like the end of a phase. So this is coming in for you. I think for some of you who have felt kind of held back because of something going on with a relationship or family or something, some kind of business venture, it's like it's finally coming to the end. And you're just ready to just focus on your surroundings, being happy, being home. Like I can see a lot of you wanting to really settle in. Now, I know Sagittarius like to go, 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 but you want to know that you want to come home to that happy home life and be content where you are. And it feels like you're finally starting to feel the freedom to do that. It's like this lighter energy I'm feeling for the Sagittarius. So let's see what the second card is. Second card for the Sagittarius is the Lover's card, relationships, emotions, and choices. Yeah, I was definitely getting for a lot of Sagittarius, this does involve happy home life, maybe a romantic partner or just really feeling the love in the home. Some of you may be feeling more secure within your relationships, or maybe some of you are actually starting to partner up with people where you can really feel the love there. And I do feel like you do have a choice in when you take things to the next level with this partnership. So just remember that as well, the choices that you want to make to maintain that security, if that makes sense. So yeah, you have more of a choice in this relationship than you realize. That's what I just heard. It's almost like maybe you think you're waiting on the other person to make a decision. You're waiting on the other person, but they're like wanting you to weigh in, and they're wanting you to have a say in a bigger way than maybe you're realizing. So, whatever the first thing that came to mind there is, it may be that maybe you just need to speak up and have a conversation, have a heart to heart about what it is that you want. And also be willing to maybe not let some of these things from the past slow you down. And that lighter energy you're starting to feel, make the choices that are going to maintain that or grow it, right? So that's what I feel like this card is talking about more, is more of a choice to choose the lighter energy. Don't take on the burdens. Don't take on other people's issues to the degree that you have in the past. Let's get your clarity card here, and then we'll bring it all together for the Sages. Let go of stress. Let go of stress. Yep. I just said that. Don't take on other people's stress. Breathe it out now. I mean, this is the stuff that's so much fun about this. I literally said these words. I literally said, Sagittarius, we need you to not take on everybody else's issues. Let it go. Let it go the way it's going to go. And this is so hard because you're so loving. And especially if you're dealing with a situation where it's a family member or child or somebody really close to you, it's so hard not to stress about how it's going to affect them. But you do have a choice about how you allow that to affect your love relationship, your work relationship. This could even be having something to do with a business partner that's affecting your home life because maybe you're stressed at home because of the way things are going. So remember this card here. You do have a choice in your relationships and in the way that you maintain this contentment at home. You can choose to say, I'm not going to let that heavy energy come in that door anymore. I'm not going to bring that home with me. Let go of the stress. All right, Sagittarius. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling for you guys for the rest of October, is doing everything you can to just make your day less stressful, make the things that are burdening you emotionally and mentally, find ways to take a different approach, and do your affirmations, do your self-care. I think that's going to be really helpful for the Sagittarius. All right. Moving into Capricorns. Capricorns, for your October bonus messages, we have the Ace of Earth. Of course, you're going to love that Earth card, right, Capricorns? It says the inflow of abundance, a promising business adventure, important documents or contracts. Yeah, I do think there is something new that you're going to be investing your time and energy into in October. And again, dotting those I's, crossing those T's, because when we get to November, when we have Mercury retrograde, it's a little harder to see things. Things going to be a little murky. Communication is slow. So anything you can do now to go ahead and invest in something that you've been wanting to get started. Now, I know that you guys are always willing to do the hard work. You're always willing to invest, but there is this opportunity to go ahead and get started with this. And for a lot of you, it is around some kind of business venture, collaboration, new project, something you're doing. Now, for those of you who are retired or it isn't involving that, I feel like it's an investment in your home life. So maybe you are going ahead and putting the deposit down on some kind of decorating project or something new for your home. Maybe you're investing in a vacation that you've been wanting to take and travel, but there is something where you can go ahead and make that initial investment here this month of October. And maybe you're investing like in actually something financially, like the stock market or I don't know, I'm not a financial advisor, so you know what this is for you, but you've been thinking about doing something and you are going to have the opportunity to get started with that today. I mean, or well, maybe it is today, literally, but the time you're hearing these messages, but I mean in October, right? So let's bring up your second card to get some clarity here. We have the Queen of Earth. Look at that. Another Earth card. Gracious, practical, capable. Yeah. So again, of course, Capricorns, very practical, very capable in what you're doing. But this is where you are going ahead and maybe investing a little more than you would have normally in the past, and also bringing others along with you. I feel like this is, one of those things where you're offering your time and energy in this very gracious way, like in a way that is blessing others. That's kind of what's coming through to me. It's like, because of your knowledge and wisdom, you're helping others get the things they want to get. So maybe this is maybe you are giving to a charity, or you're investing in someone else's business or idea because you see the potential and you know how to guide them. And you know that you would want someone to do that for you, Ace of Earth, if you were at the very beginning of this. So yeah, I do think for some of you, it's like you're kind of the one. You've heard of the term angel investor, right? Where you help somebody get their startup going. You invest in it and you believe in them. This is what I'm feeling for the Capricorns. But you're also doing it in like a very practical way where it's not such a risk, right? You're capable of making the investment, but you're doing it in a practical way. Like you're not giving them the entire loan, or you're not emptying your entire savings to do it. You're doing it in a very practical, generous, loving way. Does that make sense, right? I feel like it does. And then your third card is the love heals fear. So the power of your love can help. Let me read this. Does it say bullies and angry people to be less afraid? Oh, okay. Well, so this deck, wow, that is a powerful image there. This deck is, it's the unicorn deck. And I think it's kind of aimed at like teens or like preteens. I don't know. I don't care. I love it. I think it's awesome. Sometimes we need it that like spelled out for us. But yeah, I do think that maybe, something that this Queen of Earth thing, it's like you're communicating the way that people can feel secure. You're leading the way. You're showing how you do things to make sure you feel secure. And maybe you're just needing to offer your support and love for someone around you in a way that helps them see that you do have their highest interest at heart, but you also have to protect what you've created, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm not feeling the bully thing there too, but maybe that does resonate with some of you. What I'm feeling is it's more like if you're saying no to something, like maybe you're saying, I'll invest some money in this, but not all the money you're asking. And they're kind of bullying you. Well, why not? If you just give me that much money, that could be kind of situation. Could you please just give me the money? Just help me out. It's like, no, I'm going to show you by giving you some now and investing in you and guiding you why it's worth doing this properly and not taking such a risk. So there is something around saying no to something that's high risk, Capricorns, especially involving your resources, but not necessarily no all the way. I guess that's what it is. Maybe there is an opportunity to go on some big, huge trip, and your husband or your family is like, let's just do it. Just screw it. Let's just spend the money. And you're like, you know what? We are going to go on the trip, but we're not going to go to that extent. I don't want to come home and regret that kind of expenditure. And maybe it's actually something for, a home you're buying or a vehicle you're buying, and you're not getting the top of the top, but you're getting something nicer, right? That's really coming through strongly for me. So I hope that makes sense for you, Capricorns. And the next sign we have here is, we're going to do your bonus messages at the end here. Let's see. Yeah, let's pull that. Yeah, I got that up there. Okay, good. Aquarius. So for Aquarius is coming right into your October bonus messages. We have this 2 of Air card, being unable or unwilling to make a decision, a stalemate, pretending there isn't an issue. And whenever I see this card, that's the first thing I ask myself, like, where am I pretending this isn't bothering me? And Aquarius is, you're so good at like coming in, dealing with a situation and leaving again. You may not even like realize something needs to happen because maybe you've kind of left the situation behind and you're saying, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. But it's like, but it's still an issue. That's why it's coming in. It's like, I feel like you're good at walking away from something that isn't vibing with you. Like you're like, I don't like this conversation. I don't like this party. I don't like this, whatever. I'm out. Right. But but then there's something like left behind there. Like maybe, it's something to do at work where you walk in on a conversation and people are complaining about something. And you're like, I'm not going to be part of this complaining thing. But somehow it still affects your job because those people are working on the same project and they're not happy and they're not doing their job, right? So you see what I'm saying? It's like there is something that's still affecting you, even if you're like, I'm out. I'm not talking about this. I'm not dealing with this. So let's get some clarity here. But I'm sure the first thing that came to mind, you know what this is. The World card is your next card. Accomplishment, celebration, and completion. I think that you guys are wrapping up something big, something you've been involved with in a long time. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a job, maybe it's a place you've been living, maybe it's something you do for work. You're moving into a new type of work, but there is some kind of thing that has to be dealt with here, and before it's finally complete. And it's something that if you don't deal with it before you call it over, it might be something that is a pain in the butt later on. Like just those final, I was using this example, I think last week, where if you do decide to resign from your job and put your 2 weeks notice in, there's usually some paperwork you have to do. There's usually something you have to turn in, deal with your computer, things that you have to do that are like, I just want to be done. I feel like if you don't just have the conversations you need to have and deal with the things you need to deal with now in October, then you're going to find in November, oh, now I have to deal with that, right? Especially with Mercury retrograde. So just make sure there's nothing you're not saying, especially if you are leaving a job or a group of people or like something involving other people where normally you would be like, I don't want to get into this with this person. If you don't have a like rational, reasonable conversation about it now, it might be something that comes back with that Mercury retrograde. So let's get some clarity here, because I actually have this in this order here. Oh, worth waiting for. Worth waiting for. Your patience will be rewarded. I love that. Yeah. So there is something that it's going to take longer for you to deal with this issue. It's going to take longer for you to wrap up this thing you're wrapping up, but it's going to be worth it. And you're going to be glad you took your time leaving whatever this is behind or finishing up this project. You're going to be glad you said the things that needed to be said in an authentic way. And you're going to be glad that you took your time with the process. You know what I mean? Because again, I feel like it's like you're going to be, maybe you do need to disclose something to a family member, a boss, a friend, and they can't talk to you for 2 days because they're out of town or something like that. It's like it's worth having this conversation. It's worth dotting the I's and crossing the T's before you get to this full completion here. All right. So, I feel like Aquas, you know what I'm talking about, whether that's, a love relationship, something with a colleague, you know what it is. All right. And Pisces. All right, Pisces, we're going to do your October bonus messages and we're going to move on to the actions for us all to take. So the first card for Pisces is the 7 of Fire here. 7 of Fire. That's defend your beliefs and decisions, stand your ground, choose your battles wisely. Yes, I cannot emphasize this enough because Pisces, you guys are non-confrontational anyways, but there are some things that you have really had to go for this year. And I don't want, I'm saying I don't want, but I feel this feeling like you've really made a lot of progress getting out there in a bigger way. And there are going to be times where there's uncomfortable conversations. There's people, challenging the direction you're moving in. And there are going to be times that I want you to really try to stand up for all the things you're moving towards. It might be easier just to not have the conversation or to walk away. And sometimes you do want to do that. And a lot of times this card really does mean walk away if you can, like if it's not worth the battle. But I feel like for Pisces, what I'm getting here is there's something you're doing in October and something you've actually been doing this year that needs you to really like keep going, keep protecting that. In fact, it's even like maybe you started doing something that you really enjoy and then a new opportunity for work came in and you're like, should I do this? Because it'll be a challenge. It'll be exciting. But if I do this, I won't have time for the new thing I'm doing. So just think of it from that perspective. Let's get some clarity here. So your second card is going to be the Eight of Earth. Yep. Education, focus, and details. I think that you're already doing something that is taking your skills to a new level, and you're focusing on that. And this is asking you to keep going with that and be careful not to take on too many more challenges. In fact, that's the clarity I needed there to understand what was going on. Is you are really great at upping your game and taking on new challenges, and you might get this new exciting opportunity to do something. But if it's going to take you completely away from what you've already been doing, then really think that through. Okay. Because, I've certainly done this in the past as well. So I'll kind of use an example. It's where, a new client or a new opportunity to collab comes in, and it's so fun and exciting that I agree to it. And then I realize how much time it's going to take away from a project that I'm about to complete, or some other, vacation I plan with my family. And I'm going, I got to make the decision, right? You got to balance your time and energy. So that's kind of obvious, but I think especially for Pisces, it's really about the excitement of the opportunity that's coming in, and really weighing that against how much time you want to focus on the other exciting things you're already doing. All right, so let's get some clarity there, and then we'll go on to the bonus messages. Finish what you started. You can't make this stuff up. It says you've started something important, and now it's time to complete it. Boom. You've already started this new thing. So anything that comes flying through the door in October saying, hey, come over here, do this thing, try this thing, this new thing. If it's going to take you away from something you've already started, see if you can put that off for a little while. Tell them thank you, but not yet. Finish the things you've started, get things wrapped up this month, right? And it feels like things are going to slow down a lot towards the end of the year. So you might have a chance to do some of these new things either towards the end of the year or the beginning of next year, but make sure you're wrapping things up, finishing what you've started, the new class you're taking, the new skill you're learning, the whatever that is. Try to focus on that this month. And that's why I'm feeling like choose your battles wisely. It should really be choose your challenges wisely, because I feel like you're wanting to take the challenge. It seems like, ooh, I could do that. I bet I could do that. But it's also like, well, but there's some other things that if you finish those up first, it's going to give you a lot more freedom down the road. And you're going to be glad you went ahead and spent the time to finish that. All right. Now we are moving on to the bonus messages here. Up 12:12 on my clock. I love that. 12:12. Okay, so moving on to your bonus messages here. So first we're going to do I'm going to use this deck for this. We're going to do the present energy right now at the time you're hearing these messages, to just kind of give you a guidance to add to that. Then we're going to do the near future and the future, and then we'll do 2 actions. So we pull it all together, add these messages to anything that is really resonating with you, and definitely write them down in your journal. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing this video. I really appreciate it. And I hope you'll join me next week, Wednesday, October 15th at 11 a.m. Central with Chris Rack from Menopon Tarot. We'll be back. We're talking about this time next year. I went back and started listening to our video we did together last year on this topic, and it was really, really fun. I haven't finished listening to it, but I'm going to probably take some notes and bring them up next week about, Chris, we were talking about this time next year. And just it's really fun to compare notes and see how much has happened. There was somebody I was talking to recently about, if I already forgotten a bunch of things that had happened in January and February, not forgotten, but they felt like they were 3 years ago, because, the way this year started with all the retrograde energy, it was so slow that it almost feels like the beginning of the year was much longer ago than, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, right? All right. So we're going to pull these cards here and wrap all this up. Doing the present energy first. We have upside down. We have the Queen of Water, loving, giving, and psychic. Yes. Oh my goodness. This energy right now is all about tapping into your intuitive abilities, really, really opening your heart to connect with your higher self, with your angels, with your spiritual team. Like I said, link below is my Who's on Your Spiritual Team video. Go check that out. It's a really great way to deepen your connection with your team and get to know them. And you have that opportunity right now. And in fact, we've been talking a lot about trying to choose your battles carefully, avoid situations where people are really reacting to the energy. Maybe you could spend some extra time connecting with your spiritual team in October and really beginning to trust the way that you get messages from your spiritual team. And then the next card we have, of course, we'll pull all this together. For the future card, the near future, we have Six of Earth. Clarity, generosity, and windfall. This is the card I was talking about, activating the giving and receiving cycle. I love this card for that because it's, the example I always give, because it just reminds me so much of the very beginning of this process when I left behind my small business consulting practice and went full-time into intuitive work. I rented a table at the Healing Arts Festival here in San Antonio, and I offered free animal communication sessions because I really wanted to practice it. I had already been doing, angel readings and other things like that, but I was really focused on my animal communication at that point in time. I was in a big, long 2.5-year program. I did teacher trainer there, and I really wanted to have so many readings under my belt before I started charging for those sessions, like as a business, because of course, obviously, I closed my other business. I did need to eventually do that. But with the giving and receiving cycle was there. I invested in the table myself. I gave away my time and energy and all this. I loved it. And you know what it ended up doing? It ended up building this huge base of clients here in the surrounding area. I got to meet a lot of amazing colleagues, a bunch of other light workers who then referred me to people. And I was able to build up a referral business, not just for my animal communication, but also my other services because of this opportunity where I would go do this. And I don't know I can't remember how many times I did it, but it was multiple times that I just invested in the table, but I didn't charge. And the receiving end of that was far more than the cost of the table and the time and energy it took to go down there and set up and do all those things. So I felt like I needed to share that there because a lot of times we focus too much on the expenditure in the moment, and we're not really thinking about all the ways it could come back in exponential ways, right? So that's your near future card, is focusing on that. And by the way, it doesn't have to be that big of an undertaking. I was just doing that example. Maybe you're just, offering to help a friend move some things for a party that they're giving. I'll carry the plants over and the food over or something. And then along the way, you meet somebody who offers you a job, or you meet your new soulmate or your new best friend, So let's go to the future card here so we can pull together with some actions. 10 of Earth. There we go. Prosperity, security, tradition. So you can't make this stuff up. We're literally saying, open your heart to those around you, activate that giving and receiving cycle, and it brings in all this abundance. It's literally showing you that you're going to invest 6 pentacles and you're going to get back 10 or more, right? Isn't that amazing? I love that. So in the future, you're going to see these rewards. So keep going with all the ways that you're sharing your light with the world, sharing your gifts. Your intuitive abilities are going to new levels right now, big time. So that's what this card is reminding you of. And especially as we go into Scorpio season, I should have brought that up. Oh my gosh, Scorpios are so intuitive, and we're moving into Scorpio season on October 22nd. Really open up to the way that you're getting this information. Scorpio is a water sign. This is a card about water and listening to your intuition and listening to your feelings. Water represents emotions and feelings, right? So start there. Start with what you feel is right. Activate that giving and receiving, and you're going to see these major rewards. So I love that. Let's go into your 2 actions to take before we wrap up. First action to take is the Two of Water, another water card, partnership, commitment, and reconciliation. Yeah, these two cards together here, you may have to be the one who is taking on this Queen of Water energy in a relationship. There's something where probably you're going to have to demonstrate the maturity, however you want to say that, in the partnership, and offer that olive branch. Okay. What's the first thing that comes to mind with you there? Really listen to your intuition on that. And then the second one is the Six of Water. The Six of Water, memories, childhood, and nostalgia. So these two cards together with this water card, so much water energy, this is making sure you don't go back to old dynamics as well. Like a lot of readers will call this like, be careful about taking the ex back from the past. Like maybe you get really nostalgic about the way things were with you and you completely forget about the reason you broke up, right? And this could be a friend, a boss, whatever. You might be, getting this opportunity to reconcile with somebody. Just make sure you're also really focused on where you're headed and you're not getting too wrapped up in, oh, I wish things were like this, or I wish things were the way they used to be when we would do this one thing together. So just really, really be careful about nostalgia. So those are your two actions here. However, I will say a lot of healing can be brought in as well by just doing a little reflecting on past relationships and see what worked, see what you learn from them, see how you would do things differently when it comes to the things that didn't work, especially with conversation, especially with one-on-one relationships. There are some big things that can shift for you regarding one-on-one relationships. In fact, you might want to check out my video from last week all about relationships, because there's some big shifts coming in for all of us. And this is not just your romantic relationships. This is parents, kids, best friends, bosses, colleagues, all relationships, all one-on-one relationships. There's a really big opportunity to reconcile. However, be careful about nostalgia. Really think things through carefully. Set those boundaries, because with so much water, the boundaries can get flooded. In fact, I was meeting with some good friends of mine recently, and we were talking about this grand water trine we're going to see coming up in November and in Scorpio season. And it's really about emotions overflowing. So you may have to be the one demonstrating the stability there and just being careful you don't get flooded back into past relationships from the past that ended for a reason, or boundaries were set there for a reason. But again, I want you to focus more on this here, the giving and receiving here, but then we have to have the boundaries too. Okay. So this is a card of boundaries. This is a card of emotions. You may have to really set some boundaries around emotions from the past and people from the past. All right. Well, I hope to see you guys all here next week with Chris Reck from Minnow Pond Tarot. Love to you all. Happy October, and I'll see you then.